Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the FG knot, why you need to know it, and how to tie it on the fly. Hey guys, so I've had a number of questions on how to do the FG knot off the tuna popping rod video that we did. I'll link it up top. 10 times out of 10, I'm gonna wanna splice connection with a serve. I just feel like the connection is more secure. It feels better going through the guides. I've had more success with it. However, things do happen when you're out in the water. I've lost splices before. I've had the integrity of them go. And although I bring all my gear with me, I have splicing needles on board. I have clamps to make a makeshift serve. I have the ability to do it on the water, and you can do it when it's flat. You know, when the fish aren't busting and flying around you, it's definitely doable. However, that's not usually the case, right? You usually lose it when the action's going off and you need to tie it quick. And when that happens, I will use an FG knot. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. The FG is the most secure way to tie braid to a fluorocarbon leader. It is proven to be the strongest knot available for that connection if you're not going to do a direct splice into the hollow core. I strongly suggest practicing this FG so when you are out there and you need to do it quickly, you can do it. You don't have to pull up tutorials, you don't have to look online, because in most cases you don't have cell service. So, you know, spend some time in the off season, practice it, and I'll tell you what, it saved my you-know-what a couple times. Why this knot is successful is because the tension load of the knot is spread across the coils of the FG. It's artificially creating a Chinese finger trap with the braid coils over the leader. So there's a ton of helpful tutorials out there. I'm not here to create the wheel. I'm only gonna show you how I've done it. I'm sure there's a better way. There's some really good tutorials out there. Briggsy does one. Captain Jack Sprengel, who is a Northeast captain, he does a improvised FG knot that I think works really well targeting large bluefin tuna. Again, I'm not telling you this is the right way to do it. It's how I've done it. If you have a better way, please let me know. Leave a comment down below. All right, let's get into it. All right, we're gonna use 90-pound test Seagar fluoro with 100-pound test Cortland C16 hollow. The first step is going to be to place your rod in the rod holder and use that as your base. First step with the line coming off the rod, I like to put it in my mouth so you get the braid tight. Come with the fluorocarbon. I have it in my left hand right now. When you go under, over and back under, away from you, and you pull that tight. And you can see already, that's the start of the FG. See how it's starting the Chinese finger trap? I'm leaving about a 5-inch tag line. And I did one loop going away from me. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Over, under, towards me. Bring it tight. And you can see how they're nicely packed together. And that's the start. So you can either count to, I go 25. I know some people do less, some people do more. I've always done 25 myself. So that's 2. And you're just gonna rotate. So 1 away from me, 1 towards me. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm coming tight after every loop, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. You can see after every loop, I pinched it with my left hand to keep the coil tight. Now that's the FG. What we're ready to do now is finish this with a Rizzuto. If you want to check out the knot, you can see how those knots are packed. Those coils are packed nicely. That floor is not going anywhere. All we need to do is finish this. All right, so what we have now is our leader heading towards us. Main line to the rod. This is your braid. And you have 2 tags. You got your braid tag, your mainline tag, and you have your leader tag. So here's where we're gonna do the Rizzuto finish. Just tighten this thing and finish it off. You wanna lay the leader tag next to the mainline braid tag, or sorry, the main line going to your rod. And you're gonna use this remaining couple of inches of your mainline braid to finish off the Rizzuto. So what I do is, you make a loop. So you want to go over the tag of the leader and the main line. And then you want to do 5 loops, 5 or 6 loops. I usually do 5. I've done 6, I've done more. 5 is fine. 3, 4, 5. Now if you tighten it here, it would be just a series of half hitches, which isn't what we're trying to do. What you want to do now, keeping this nice and tight, so where that tag is coming off to start the loop, you want to essentially unravel it. And what it's going to do here is produce essentially a hangman's noose to tighten and finish off this Rizzuto finish. So 1, you're basically unwrapping those coils. 2, notice how I'm pinching it down here as I'm uncoiling. 3, 4, 5. See how that loops now? Open, I like to get that thing wet. Really help finish this thing off. You can see how nicely those coils wrapped down on themselves. It's like an improved clinch knot also. You're essentially binding down on that tag end. And that is essentially your FG, but it's not finished. The most important part is right now. So we have two tag ends. We have our mainline tag end, we have our leader tag end. What we need to do is apply enough pressure so that the Rizzuto, the FG will actually bind to the leader material and actually produces ridges which will actually secure that knot. I have seen these fail. I'm pretty sure it's when you don't tighten them down enough. This is a very important step. You've got to apply the right amount of pressure. So I suggest putting on a pair of gloves if you're following along, because you really gotta give this some muscle. I'm just gonna use a pair of jigging gloves that I got lying around. I will go braid to tighten the Rizzuto first. You can see, puts a little bit of a twist in the knot. It's okay now. It's okay for now because you know you're starting to apply some pressure. The next step I go is the leader to the main line. And here's where you really want to give it some pressure so that that knot can start to bind with the leader material. It's looking good. And then I'll come back and I will do just the Rizzuto again. So your mainline tag with your mainline. Because they'll actually work against each other. And one last time, see how it's crooked again? Your main line to your leader. Don't be shy. Again, you need gloves or you're gonna get cut. So this looks pretty good. What you're looking for, I don't know if you can see here, the braid will actually turn color. It'll discolor because of the pressure you're putting on it. If you can see here, I'll try to zoom in. This white braid has turned almost gray and almost like a blackish tinge. That means you're doing your job. And with that, this knot is basically good to fish. We just got to finish off the tag ends. I notice this is something that Briggsy does also. I've always done this with my braid, whether it's, you know, deep dropping for codfish off Stellwagen, whether it's bass fishing. I always like to put a knot as close as possible to where you're cutting, just to prevent it, just one last fail safe in case, you know, that thing slips on you. The knot's gonna have a hard time getting through those loops. So it's basically a half hitch that I will work down as close as possible. That looks pretty good. You can see that knot is pretty close to the FG. So here I would just cut the rest of this tag end off this knot, past this knot. I'm actually not going to use these split ring pliers. They're not going to be sharp enough for the braid. I'm just going to use a knife real quick. Obviously be careful not to touch your FG. Looking pretty good. All we have left is the leader tag. So all we're gonna do here is we're gonna cut it. We're gonna leave very, very little tag end coming out the bottom. And we're actually going to melt that into a rounded head. Just again as a fail-safe, so you have nothing else. I'm gonna leave less than 1/8 of an inch. It's probably a little bit more than I like, hanging off the top of that, but we'll take care of it. You will need a lighter. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. I keep one on the boat at all times. You know, if you lose a rod tip, you can easily glue one back on. I keep some rod cement glue on my boat. So, very helpful. Small tag end. Wet the knot. And I'm gonna protect that with my fingers and just leave a little, nub. I hope you can see that. That little 1/8 of an inch piece of leader material we're gonna try to burn down. Again, you got to be very, very careful not to get it close to the braid. Creates a little mushroom. This is exactly what we want. Ooh. You want to make sure there's no sharp edges. If you do, I would melt them down. So right now we got some hard edges. Ow, I burned myself. Okay, you can see there, a little mushroom tip on the end. Again, it's just an added safety feature. So that tag end is not gonna slide through one of those loops. I mean, if you see that, you're gonna cut it and you gotta restart because you can't be dealing with that. So that, my friends, is your FG. Again, once you get to learn it, you can do this on the boat in 5 minutes, less. You know, if I was trying to splice and 4-foot chop, I'd never be able to get the needle through. You know, I'd have a trouble splicing. So again, this is really helpful when you're out on the water. It's not my primary, but it's definitely gonna save your ass a couple times. I hope this helps. If you guys have a better way to do it, I'm sure you do. Leave some comments below. I'm happy to talk to you about them.